from the Workplace Ninja Summit in Baden. Smart talks, sharp insights, and stories worth sharing. This is the Workplace Ninja podcast.
So welcome back. Day 4, last recording. So it is the last time that we sitting on this table in this year. My name is Frans Oudendorp and I've co-hosted with
Benoit.
Welcome, Alex.
Thank you. Are you a little bit sad that it's the last day?
A little bit, but I'm so tired.
But you're also tired? Okay, that I understand.
But I'm so tired that it's luckily the last one, so we can wrap up a bit. So, and I have a lot of work to do in the upcoming days to edit all these kind of videos, so we can upload it. But yeah, it was really fun to be here and having all these conversations, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah. And now we are rounding up this series with one of the nicest topics, in my opinion. But I think we all four of us.
Can we just say the nicest topic? I mean, it will be okay for me. I don't know, you guys. Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah.
We're all into security, so I think it's good.
Yeah. I think we've reached the defender for Endpoint.
Yeah. We reached that. But who do we have onto the table? Paul, let's do a short intro when starting with you.
Yeah, hey, it's Paul, Principal Product Manager for Defender for Endpoint at Microsoft.
And Manuel, we saw you already once this week on this table. Can you do, again, a short one?
Sure. Manuel Hauch, Client Security Architect at Benoit, and working on Defender for Endpoint since 2019, roughly.
So I think a lot of experience in the table. Yeah. So let's start. You both did a session separate from each other. Paul, it was a secret source. So my AI generated a really nice question, and I want to put that onto the table.
I was warning you that he has, some random
AI
questions
sauce.
that he's throwing them out.
If Defender deployments were a recipe, what are the 3 essential ingredients?
Ooh.
The recipe for success for the successful Defender for Endpoint deployment? Use common sense. I think like anyone that has experience with infrastructure and deployment is aware that introduction of any endpoint security solution comes with its own challenges, right? And it's always a replacement, hopefully. If it's really greenfield deployment, that is scary. You're going to find some stuff. But okay, so let's 3 bullet points. Make sure you know what you're doing. Prepare, right? There's a lot of good stuff out there that helps you identify what are the common pitfalls. So I would say educate first. May read a book or a blog. Second part is make sure that your security department is ready to deal with whatever comes out of Defender for Endpoint. So think operationalization, even as you're preparing the project itself. And then finally, make sure you have a good tool selection. Make sure that you test properly, not just the tool itself, but whatever it is that you want to get rolling with, find the right approach. Typically, there are good avenues to figure out where you can start small and expand, but first you do have coverage, and I think that might be one of the most important things. Make sure that you achieve that coverage, that you don't leave any unmanaged devices behind if you can help.
Yeah. And if we look at your session, what was the common takeaway that you want to give with the audience? So
I pretty much covered 3 main areas. First, I wanted to give people something a little bit more interesting that you don't necessarily just get from any blog or documentation or any Ignite session. A little bit of behind the scenes. What's going on the endpoint? What are different processes? How do they interact? How do you update them? What's the cadence for that? And then the second part is what should you be aware of when you're doing a deployment? What are some of the common pitfalls and mistakes? Yep. And then we wrapped up with some roadmap information.
Nice. Alex, have you seen this session?
Unfortunately not, no. I had room support in another room. But yeah, that's a bummer. But I was just when you said unmanaged device, I was directly thrown back to MDDR, Microsoft Digital Defense Report 2024, where the unmanaged device part was something that you were really addressing as one of the top risks. And I think you did a lot when it comes to ease of deployment, ease of use. Can you elaborate a little bit more about that part?
This remains a focal point, particularly for my team, like the crew that I work with. We're heavily focused on making the product easier, making it easier to deploy across a diverse Windows estate, for example, or Linux, and getting it into managed, like just so you have an easier time of achieving that coverage, not leaving like unmanaged devices on the table. Device discovery helps you kind of identify where those gaps are. And then finally, we're heavily investing in attack disruption to help with whatever's left. The vast majority of attacks come from, abuse of unmanaged devices or some edge infrastructure as an entry point. Having attack disruption as a continuously evolving automation engine, this is definitely one of the bigger investments we're making this year, next year, in order to help customers that struggle to get that coverage in their environment.
And I think with the other hat on my head of being a SOC provider, I can totally confirm, Manuel. How about you? How often do you see attack disruption, and do you already discover the value of it?
I think I'm not sure if we see it every day, but we probably see it every single week for sure.
Yeah.
And it works, and it's super fast, super fast, especially around business email compromise, but also some of the more advanced attacks and ransomware hands-on keyboard stuff. Maybe quickly coming back to the unmanaged device stuff.
Please,
just a couple of weeks ago, incident at a customer. Started with an unmanaged device, edge device, a Linux device, right? Don't forget Linux. They actually also get attacked. They are vulnerable. But Linux is not necessarily secure, and you have to monitor those. And from that, the attacker then jumped not on the managed devices because they were monitored. So every single device they jumped on, they checked if there is an EDR and AV running, and they specifically looked for the ones that were unmanaged. So that's still a huge topic.
Yeah, so there's also already a huge industry that is focusing on exactly that weakness in organizations. That's also what you're seeing. But also the speed, I think, of attack disruption is of the essence, and I think that's especially something that we're seeing with a larger increase on AI-driven malicious code, malware, ransomware, whatever that is. Is that something that you, from a Microsoft perspective, are also, facing a lot?
Attacks continue to become more sophisticated, and having an easy automation engine. So far, I think like the focus is more. It's more accessible for anyone with less experience to do some cybercrime.
Correct.
And so it's becoming like this great democratizer of like attacks, and so. But it's still mostly the existing patterns. Like it doesn't necessarily make the attacks more difficult or advanced, or just more of them, right? And that's where attack disruption, the speed of disruption, it really comes in. AI in general, the surprising part there is like you see mostly more either traditional attacks against AI or AI platforms, where at the end of the day, it's still convincing AI to do something that allows you establish entry in a more traditional way, and then you do all the same things, you do lateral movement. It does appear that there's more guided cybercrime as a result. But so far from AI and AI security perspective, we're seeing mostly like these large-scale incidents around people abusing platforms to host some really bad stuff, bad images, generate images, abuse Azure infrastructure, host all sorts of nasty stuff because it's easy to monetize. In large-scale attacks, no, it is automation, of course, but AI itself, you don't really see that much. When we think about AI, though, what I think the most important thing that people need to be aware of is just like, remember when we all said, hey, assume breach, take that mindset. Guess what? If you have an AI website, an AI tool in your environment, and you provide that access to certain resources and information, guess what? You have a man in the middle. You have to be aware that you literally granted access to this tool to a large set of resources, and that by itself is something to be mindful of, be concerned of. It's just like you have a person in your environment, like an insider threat, that has access to a bunch of stuff that you might have given it access to. So you really have to apply that assume breach mindset, because now all of a sudden there's a productivity tool for the attackers if they can get to it.
So with
go ahead.
With what Paul said, is that something that looking in at Pluvoy and SOC and I mean the large scale that you guys cover, is that something that you also address as part of your SOC services, the whole information flow in organizations? Especially, we even had when coming from the context of insiders, we even had a session about insider risk management, and they were also talking about how do you bring purview to your SOC to be able to not only label and protect, but also identify where insiders are happening. Is that something, insider management, that you guys address heavily?
We are working on it, definitely. So on the AI side, what we see a lot, I think maybe it's still hard to quantify it on the technical side of things, like if the script was run by a human or by an AI, I'm not sure, right? I think that's still really hard to quantify. Where we heavily see it, however, also internally, attacks against us, is on the social engineering side, right? And then with like that insider risk. So, for example, if your organization has a policy that allows outside or B2B communication in teams with every organization, it's probably going to happen that someone is going to contact some employee via Teams, and they'll send them a link, or they send them an invite to a meeting link or a Zoom meeting, and then suddenly there might be a very good-looking or very real-looking version of your CEO talking to you. Right, yeah. So that kind of stuff we definitely do see and try to kind of also detect that better from a SOC perspective, right? Like, how does your communication with external parties look like in team and stuff like that?
Nice. In the description of your session, Paul was asking hard questions. Did you get some hard questions? And what were the answer on that? Was it not that hard? Is Alex asking harder questions than the audience?
What can I say? There were mostly questions about when is this coming, or are you going to fix X, Y, Z, and not so much hard questions.
That's terrible. If they don't have, because on the other side, the product is probably that good that hard questions are not there anymore. But do you have that kind of questions?
Sure, I have two that I can address. We were talking about attack disruption. What is the next version of what is coming up? What's the as it is going to stay as a SOC magic key or magic flavor? What's the next thing that's coming?
I thought you were gonna go for a hard question, but okay.
I have one.
Oh, that wasn't it.
There's still one left.
We're going to continue to piss off red teams. That's for sure. Some of the things that it's always about getting better signal and being able to disrupt in more clever and targeted ways. A recent release was user contain, the ability to more pinpoint kind of the disruption to, there's this user, let's kill their sessions or contain the user, and so they can't actually move anywhere. I think the next area that you'll see us address is once we do kind of detect this attack and we take our actions very surgically, what else can we do in the environment just so we know that temporarily we can prevent retaliation? Throw up some additional defenses dynamically to really make sure that not only did we defeat that attack, but whatever next attempt or next wave comes in, we already have some additional defenses in place. So I think that's what you'll see, and looking forward to the team sharing more about that at coming events.
As you were talking about detection, and I know that this is one of the major things that all the SOC providers are heavily investing in these days: custom detections, smart detection, fast detections. I also think that the recently introduced data lake feature is something that Microsoft for sure will soon bring to general availability. That's obviously, I assume, something that you guys are also quite happy about. Can you bring us up to speed with Data Lake and explain how you guys use it?
Sure. I think one of the common issues or obstacles in any SOC or for any business is the cost, right? SIMs are not necessarily cheap tools. Having data available all the time and being able to query it super fast is compute heavy, it's expensive. And I would say up until now, we often had there were some, of course, ways to do it, but we often had to decide, do we want to bring data into the SIM, or maybe we just don't bring it in at all, or if you have compliance requirements, we have it maybe in some on-prem store that is hard to accessible. Mm-hmm. And with Data Lake, we really do not have to make these necessarily black and white decisions anymore, right? So we can say the data that we definitely need for our detections, we continue to bring that in the SIM, but the data that we maybe only need for investigations or for forensic purposes, the stuff that you really need if you're going to look into the forensics, that then often organizations are at the point when they did not have that in the SIM, well, actually, we don't have that data, right? And then you will never realize what the attacker actually did. And with Data Lake, we have I think by factor 10, if I'm not fully mistaken, cheaper option to bring that data into the same platform, be able to query it with the same tools that we already have, that the analysts are used to, that the customers are used to, and really have that data at our use when we need it, right? And you normally need it when you identify an attack that might have been ongoing for a while.
So here's my second try for a hard question, Paul. With all the data that we're seeing now, and all the detection disruption features and everything that you said in regards to AI, what are we not seeing? What are we still missing these days in SOC? Is there anything that you guys work on that?
Yeah. So I'll
say. Is it a little bit hard to answer? At least
it's only hard because I need to not say too much.
Okay.
So
I take that. At least.
I think one of the areas that we're looking forward to, and it actually ties into Sentinel and Data Lake, is what if you could collect additional data using whatever agentry you already have deployed. That's kind of all I want to say about that.
Huge topic. Make it easier to get data.
We asked Sami, what's the state of the nation for cybersecurity? What's something that both of your organizations would address first when talking to a CISO board or SOC or whoever you want to talk to? What's the thing that you think has changed over the last 12 months? I'm always talking to MDDR years in cybersecurity.
Do you want to go first?
I could try.
Go for it.
First of all, I would say, besides the stuff that definitely changed, a lot of stuff didn't change. Still fix the basics.
Yep.
That's number one for me. We see way too many customers still in the cloud without MFA, without phishing-resistant MFA, conditional access policies not configured correctly, right? If you don't make it super hard for someone to get in, likelihood you will be breached very quickly. And phishing is still a huge issue. So fix the basics. And then maybe what really changes, and I think I said or talked about it before a little bit, is how we see AI tools used for social engineering and how successful that can be.
Yeah.
I think that is really the scary part, because we are now at a point where it's super hard for humans even trained people to differentiate, is something AI generated or is it real? And that's the scary stuff. And I think the only way you can, as of today, solve that or work with that is make sure you have specific procedures in place, like, for example, that a CEO will never contact you via WhatsApp, right? Outside of the company parameters that are not monitorable. Or if he does that, then always reach out to him via a known channel like Teams, etc., to verify that it was actually him or her. I think that's what I would say. It's kind of really changed.
Very good.
Yeah. I mean, I can only confirm pretty much everything Manuel's saying. Just to double down on the basics. I was enjoying a session by the Defender boys yesterday. So Matthias Borg and Stefan Schürrling. They were essentially presenting like an attack that they, like an IR they did, and they analyzed the attack, and it was just all of the basics were hit. Oh, you didn't patch this. Oh, they moved on to that. Oh, you didn't have detection. The attacker simply deployed the basic script kiddie toolkit and went undetected. It's basics. They only needed a sonic wall vulnerability. They waltzed right in. They found an admin account. They found a list of passwords. They could just walk right over this customer, do whatever they needed to do. At some point, it kind of appeared that the attackers actually were trying things and failing undetected, came back with the right approach, as if they had reached out to a help desk to get past that impasse. And I honestly think that's an example of how easy it is to just compromise certain environments. You'd probably, as your beginning cyber criminal, get a help desk support type style. You probably got sold the initial access to begin with, and then you execute your attack and you can even get instructions to do so. Because all of what they did was just the absolute basics. Install and run a port scanner, you name it. So it's really, in this day and age, we can talk about AI all we want, but in order to make easy money, you don't even need those Copilot credits.
I think it's at the first Workplace Ninja was virtual. The second one in Lucerne, I started recording, and these kind of conversations I think every 5 years that we've been done this was the basics was kind of more onto the table. So why is it so hard for organizations to get the basics on par? Do we have an opinion on that?
We need more. We need more ninjas.
Yeah, is it really hard? I mean, isn't that the question? I mean, it is. Actually, it shouldn't be that hard.
From a technical perspective, it's definitely not hard because I think all of us, we have helped customers to move into that way. But
it's still convenience and it's lack of knowledge.
Awareness.
I shouldn't leave the admin server open to the internet. I shouldn't, use my domain controllers as jump boxes. It's all of the basics all of the time. Yeah. Those are the easy targets. Sure, there's higher value targets that the more sophisticated attackers go after. Typically, what you see there is things like, let's go after a telco that has interesting equipment pretty much in half of the planet, right? Type deal. Those are the big ones. But aside from that, I think most of what people need to worry about is poor security hygiene.
Yeah.
Still.
I totally agree. Manuel, you had also a session that was on the device control part of Defender.
The basics.
So, but you mentioned that's overlooked. So why is it overlooked?
It's maybe because it's not so sexy, right? That's kind of maybe, I don't know. An EDR tool is sexy, right? Device control is not necessarily so sexy. At least, and that's kind of also the point I made in the beginning of the talk, is I haven't heard about the Stuxnet attack that didn't happen because someone had device control. And I think it's still very much overlooked. Sometimes it's not the first priority, and probably honestly, if you don't have an EDR, then I also wouldn't tell you to do first device control, first deploy that EDR, because that is easy to do, it's fast, and you get a lot of value out of it. But again, like security posture plays a huge role, and if we have less ways to attack someone, then it's more likely that the attacker will go somewhere else. Of course, it also highly depends on the nature of your business, right?
Of course.
How exposed you to that one. But it should be seen more as not only as a compliance feature, I would say.
And how does that differ from the native Windows feature, so to say? So look like app locker or GPO-based restrictions that you can do.
Yeah, it's much more granular, right? So with the native Windows stuff, you can it's like a hammer. It's you break it or you allow it, kind of thing. And with device control and Defender for Endpoint, you get much better reporting, and you can be much more granular in your policies, basically.
Yeah. There's always the CEO that needs the exception because he wants to plug in that USB device he found in the parking lot.
Yeah, agree. But that's not only with device control, that's with every security feature that we have introduced in the past. MFA, for example, when we rolled that out, first the CTO or the CEO or whatever, everyone needs it, but I do not, because it's difficult and it's,
My time is valuable.
That's what it is. So basically, what should I do? If I'm a customer, I have enrolled EDR, what should be my next step? Is that enable device control, or should I do other things as well?
I would say the first one still, for me personally, of course, Defender AV policy needs to be set up correctly, but then the next step, and that takes often a bit longer, are still the attack surface reduction rules. They can massively slow an attacker down. Also, I mentioned previously that that one breach, something the attacker used and we see all the time is lateral movement using PSXSec, right? So there is a attack surface reduction rule that you can use that prevents that from happening. So if you have those configured, and you will have to spend some time on properly getting them configured across your environment, especially some of the Office ones if you're still using a lot of macros and stuff like that. But they definitely can make a big difference on the preventive side of control, right?
Yeah. I have a few, fireside questions. So, one tool you can't live without, Paul.
One or two?
One tool you can't live without.
A tool as a person or as a PM or either?
From a security perspective, whatever you want.
There's only one right answer for you, right?
I mean,
a hammer,
Defender for Endpoint, right? But I guess my phone.
Nowadays, yeah.
Because it gives me my authenticators and my passkeys. So I think that's pretty valuable.
What's up for you, Manuel?
That was a pretty good answer, Paul. I mean, in my daily work, it's really everything that kind of logs and gives us signals. Defender for Endpoint, Defender for Identity, SIMs, of course, but that's more complex, that's more mature. Yeah.
On top of that, what's your favorite log source for troubleshooting?
For troubleshooting?
Yeah.
I mean, depends on what I'm gonna troubleshoot, but I don't know. Windows security events, generally speaking, they are helpful.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Paul, any?
My favorite log source for troubleshooting. I mean, it really, again, it depends on what I'm troubleshooting, right?
Within the Defender, from a Defender point of
Defender for Endpoint perspective, there's the Sense operational log. It's useful. You can run the support files package collection. Gives you a lot of insights into what the malware engine is doing. So that's MP log. There's quite a few useful ones depending on what you're investigating. And if you're looking at performance, I mean, I just let Performance Analyzer do its thing. Just collect a trace. It's much more insightful than trying to dig through logs.
And last question, most underrated feature in Defender, is that device control?
Not sure about that one. Maybe Paul wants to go first, and I'll have a second to think about it.
So apparently a lot of people still haven't really internalized contextual exclusions, but that is definitely something I would recommend a lot of people take a look at. Because
It's a good one.
Yeah, it's good.
Anything on your mind at the moment?
I would say if you have not made sure that attack disruption can work, then make sure that works, right? So do not have exclusions around automatic response in device groups, for example, because that will break the feature. That's an important one, I would say.
Thank you. Thank you. That makes this recording come to an end. So we touched on the Defender for Endpoint, device control, a lot of in between with attack disruption and that kind of stuff. So I really like it. To have you guys here on the table, thank you for that. And with that, this event is coming to an end, Alex.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Great.
Really a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Keep an eye on our social channels to have all the information also for next year. I think within an hour we will announce then the new event for next year. Was already on the banners up front, so the dates are already there. I think it's halfway September next year, and the location will be announced later on today. So I think it will be on our website, summit.wpninjas.global. So have a look on that. And with that, this comes to an end. Thank you for watching. Until next year, probably. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for joining the Workplace Ninja Podcast. Stay curious, stay connected, and keep sharpening your ninja skills. Until next time.